welcome to YOUCANIC. In this video we're going to go over some tips and things you need to know if you decide that you want to buy a flooded vehicle. So here we have a Mercedes. This is as complex as a vehicle is going to get, basically when it comes to computer and things of that nature. So if you're gonna bring back to life a flooded Mercedes, you technically can bring back to life any other car. These the reason why I say that is because these vehicles have so many electronics and modules that that is what really goes bad when a vehicle gets flooded. So first let me start by saying that this vehicle was completely submerged in water and was dead, would not start. I want to just kind of explain to you kind of things that you're gonna be looking into if you buy one of these vehicles. So the first thing that you're gonna look into is that you're going to need a completely new ECU, engine control unit, steering lock, this is steering column lock, and ignition switch. This is the ignition switch. These three pieces, if one of them fails, if this fails, for example, it gets water, and it's very likely that if the vehicle was submerged in water that this is going to go bad. The ECU could go bad. If any of them goes bad, you have to replace all three. You can get a donor vehicle that has ECU, ignition, steering column lock, and the key, and use a key from that vehicle. If it's the Mercedes is a little bit newer, you might need other things. You might need other things from the donor vehicle, such as the transmission control module. You might need the shifter. In this vehicle, the shifter is not coded to the VIN, so you can really use any as far as you match that part number without doing much coding. But you might be looking at least three pieces that you need from a donor vehicle, but you might need more. You might need shifter. These vehicles, as the newer there are more modules, they make it require that they're coded to the vehicle. So basically, if the VIN coded in that shifter or in this ECU, they don't match the VIN of the vehicle, then you can't start it. You won't be able to start that vehicle. So anyway, so this is the main things. But after you replace these, you most likely your vehicle probably won't still start, because you might have something else that has gotten water damage. And let's say, for example, right here we have a SAM module. This is SAM module, front SAM module on this vehicle. It gets water damage. This vehicle uses CAN network, so once that's down, it can bring down the whole car. And even if you connect a scanner, you might not be able to communicate with anything, because that's messing up the CAN network. It's not letting you communicate with anything. So there's a couple of things you could do. You can go to all the modules in the vehicle. They're not critical for starting the engine, and you can unplug them one by one and see when you're able to communicate with the other modules, so where basically the network is back to working. Or you can go to a junkyard, find a vehicle that's been wrecked, and basically take all the modules from that and swap them and put them in your on your Mercedes. Now that's the other thing that you got to keep in mind. These vehicles could have over 10 modules, 10, 15, some have over 20 modules that could, once they're submerged in water, they could go bad. Some modules are critical for starting, allowing you to start the car, while others, the only downside might be that you might still not be able to start the car, because they bring the whole network down, the whole system down of communication. So that's it as far as that goes. And once you basically replace all of those, you should be able to bring the car back to life and start it. But do not start the car though without removing the spark plugs, taking those out, and then go and you have the crankshaft there. You can manually put a 27mm socket on the crankshaft and turn that by hand clockwise a few times, so that you can get any water that's on the crankshaft on the inside the cylinders out. do an oil change, and then go ahead and start the vehicle. But the other thing to keep in mind, though, even if you do start the vehicle, as we're replacing these all these connectors on the back, like here for example, they have, you can see water damage. Over time that corrosion develops more, and then that contact can not, you know, that you can have communication and contact issues. So even if you start the vehicle, keep in mind that that vehicle is probably going to have electrical issues down the road, and they're going to be really hard and difficult to trace. So this is probably one of the worst case scenarios, basically, because this vehicle has so many electronics and modules that they are challenging to repair. And what's even more challenging is that down the road they end up with issues. Other vehicles, for example, Toyotas, or let's say a Mitsubishi, or even Hyundais and Kias, they don't have this many modules on them, especially the older models. They might have 4 modules. They have a module for engine control unit, the transmission, the climate control over there, maybe blind spot monitoring. So they have a lot fewer modules, which means a lot less things that could go wrong. So those cars can be easier to bring back to life, and also they usually don't have as many issues down the road once you fix them. But when it comes to a Mercedes, you really need to think twice before you decide that you're gonna bring a car like this and make that run again. It's most likely going to be issue after issue after issue after that. But that's it. Thank you for watching, and hope this give you an idea of what you need to keep in mind when you buy a vehicle that's been flooded. Thank you.